Hello everyone and welcome to this new tutorial of Andy Handmade channel. Today we are pleased to show you our new work, the luxury scarf. As usual in each our video we match the beauty to the simplicity of the work. So this pattern, repeated several times, it's surely quite easy to make. This scarf is 63 inches long and 14 inches wide. Then we'll add a 6 inches long fringe to each side of the scarf. In order to make the scarf with these measures, we used crochet number 5 and 820 yard long yarn, medium width, which is to say 9 ounces. Let's start to explain now, step by step, the processing. For this work, we'll need to start chain which will be multiple of 6. To get to 63 inches length, I started 204 stitch chains, to which we'll add 3 more chains. We won't pick up the first 3 stitches, whereas on the 4th one we'll knit a double crochet, then we'll move along the line knitting double crochet on each following stitch chain. So, let's go till the end, knitting double crochet all along the first line. If you started, as I did, 207 chains, that is to say 204 plus 3, you'll have 205 double crochet. Once we finish the line, we'll knit the last double crochet, settling our first line of double crochet only. Let's knit up the work by knitting a chain. Then we turn the work. And in the front loop, we'll knit a single crochet. Let's go on by picking up 2 legs of the stitch, yarn on the hook, and then we'll skip 1 and 2 stitches, which we won't be picked up. In the 3rd stitch, we'll knit 1 double crochet. 2 chains, yarn around the hook, and on the same stitch where we knitted a double crochet before, we'll knit 1 more double crochet. Again, 2 chains, skipping 2 main stitches, and in the 3rd we'll knit a single crochet. We just knitted our first series of stitches, but don't panic, I'll show you 2 more times. So, we knitted an arc, where we can see a V in the middle, made of double crochet in between the 2 chains. Let's go on by knitting 2 chains, yarn on the hook, and then we'll skip 1 and 2 stitches which won't be processed. In the 3rd stitch we'll knit 1 double crochet, 2 chains and another double crochet. Let's finish the series by knitting 2 chains, skipping 2 main stitches, 1 and 2, and in the 3rd one we'll knit a double crochet. Again, always the same. 2 chains, yarn on the hook, we'll skip 2 main stitches, and in the 3rd one we'll knit our sequence of double crochet, 2 chains, double crochet. Let's knit now 2 chains, skip 2 main stitches, and in the 3rd we'll knit a single crochet. In so doing, we made 3 patterns. In case you started 206 chains in order to get to 63 inches, you'll have 34 arches. Now, let's go on with the 3rd line. Let's knit up the work, knitting 4 chains and then turn the work. Inside the V below, with the yarn on the crochet hook, we'll knit 3 groups of double crochet clusters, which represent the peculiarity of the work itself. In fact, we will knit several double crochet clusters. A double crochet cluster is a double crochet knitted till the half, and only at the very end we can cast off the stitch. But let's have a look all together. So, wrap the yarn around the hook, insert it into the V pattern, knitting a double crochet. We'll have 3 stitches around the hook. We'll cast off 2 of them, leaving 2 more stitches on the hook. Again, yarn wrapped around the hook, insert the hook and we'll cast off the first 2 stitches only. We'll have then 3 stitches on the hook. Let's go on like this, another double crochet, cast off the first 2 stitches and we'll have 4 stitches on the hook. Now yarn around the hook and then we'll stretch the yarn across the stitches. We knitted 3 double crochet clusters. We'll knit 2 chains to divide several groups of double crochet and then we'll repeat the processing. Again, wrap the yarn around the hook, insert it into the V pattern, knitting a double crochet, cast it off in the middle, and we'll have 2 stitches. Keep on going like this. Now, we have 4 stitches on the hook, and we'll stretch the yarn across the stitches. Then, we'll knit 2 more chain stitches, repeating again the group of 3 double crochet clusters. So, yarn around the hook and insert the hook inside the V. Let's knit the first double crochet, the second one and the third double crochet whose stitches will be casted off at the very halves. We'll have 4 stitches on the hook and we'll stretch the yarn across the stitches, realizing a stitch chain. This pattern we just knitted will be the peculiarity of our scarf. Once we've casted off the stitches all together. Let's go next and, after the stitch chain, insert the yarn straight to the next V and knit 3 more groups of double crochet clusters. When we'll have 4 stitches on the hook, we'll cast them off and we'll knit 2 chain stitches. Wrap the yarn around the hook, insert it into the V pattern, knitting a double crochet, cast it off in the middle and we'll have 2 stitches. Keep on going like this. Now we'll have 4 stitches on the hook and we'll stretch the yarn across the stitches. We'll knit 2 more chain stitches, repeating again the group of 3 double crochet clusters. So yarn around the hook, insert the hook inside the V. Let's knit the first double crochet, the second and the third double crochet whose stitches will be casted off at the very half. We'll have 4 stitches on the hook and we'll stretch the yarn across the stitches, realizing a stitch chain. This pattern we just knitted will be the peculiarity of our scarf once we casted off the stitches all together. Let's go next and after the stitch chain, insert the yarn straight to the next V and knit 3 more groups of double crochet clusters. When we'll have 4 stitches on the hook, we'll cast them off and we'll knit 2 chain stitches. At this point, we can start the 4th line. 4 stitch chains, turn the work, and we'll find 2 stitch chains where we left the 3 double crochet clusters. Let's start with 4 chains and turn the work, and move along towards the 2 dividing stitch chains we had on the previous line. Here, we'll have 2 stitch chains and we'll knit a double crochet. So, 4 chains, yarn around the hook, where we find 2 chains, we'll knit a double crochet and 1 chain. Then, yarn around the hook, let's continue with the next 2 chains and insert knitting 1 double crochet and 1 chain. Again, yarn at hand. In between the 2 groups below, we'll knit a double crochet and 1 stitch chain. Yarn around the hook, where we find 2 dividing stitch chains, we'll knit 1 double crochet and 1 stitch chain. Let's go on like this until the end of the line. Yarn around the hook, where we find the 2 dividing stitch chains, we'll knit 1 double crochet and 1 stitch chain. Wrap the yarn, where we find 2 dividing stitch chains, we'll knit 1 double crochet and 1 stitch chain. In so doing, we'll get to the end of the line. 1 stitch chain, yarn at hand, and start knitting the last double crochet inside the 4th stitch chain where we started the line. As you can see, we're increasing, drawing a rectangle without picking up and knit additional stitches. So we started with 4 stitch chains, 3 of which made the double crochet and 1 divides the group. 1 double crochet and 1 stitch chain, 1 double crochet and 1 stitch chain. After finishing the sequence, let's start by picking up this entire double crochet line and knitting 3 stitch chains. Then we'll turn the work. We'll knit the first double crochet, inserting the hook in between the 2 double crochet of the previous line. Yarn around the hook, we'll knit a double crochet on the previous one, another double crochet in between the 2 below, and again a double crochet on the one below, and so on. So, where we had a double crochet, a stitch chain and a double crochet, we'll fill everything up, knitting double crochet only. That is to say, where we can see a space, we'll pick up and knit a double crochet, and where we'll find a double crochet below, we'll knit again a double crochet. In so doing, we'll come back to the double crochet starting number, so as to say that if we knitted 206 double crochet in the first line, this line will end up with 206 double crochet as well. Basically, we'll end up knitting double crochet only. Just pay attention at the end of the line where we'll find the starting stitch chains of the previous line. Remember, in order to keep the number of double crochet, to knit a double crochet here in between the little hole and the double crochet inside the last stitch chain used to increase the work, which is the 4th one. In so doing, we'll have a number of double crochet equal to that one we had at the beginning. Now, let's repeat the second line. Let's pick up and knit 1 stitch chain. Turn the work, knitting a single crochet. We'll knit 2 stitch chains, skipping 2 main ones, and in the 3rd we'll knit a double crochet, 2 stitch chains and a double crochet inside the same stitch. We'll cast off the little arc by knitting 2 stitch chains, skipping 2 main ones, and in the 3rd we'll knit a single crochet. We are then repeating our second line. Again, 2 stitch chains, yarn around the hook, skipping 2 main ones, and in the 3rd we'll draw our V pattern made of double crochet, 2 stitch chains and another double crochet. Be careful while knitting this line, the one I'm showing you now. It needs to be perfectly aligned with the V of the previous line, the previous group. Otherwise, we'll have uneven patterns. However, this is also an indicator that we don't lose any stitch along the way. At this stage, the only thing I can do is to say goodbye, hoping you enjoyed the video. If you'd like to support us, drop a like, follow us or subscribe to our YouTube channel, setting the bell ring. Have fun!